So as we progress through the offseason, the biggest question the Minnesota Vikings face is a quarterback battle between Kyler Murray and J.J. McCarthy, and who's going to be the QB1 at the start of 2026 season. The Vikings bring in Kyler Murray on March 12th on a one-year, $1.3 million deal to help push, at least from the Vikings' sake, to help push McCarthy to be a better quarterback in his third year, as opposed to what happened his sophomore year, or technically his rookie season, with his actual rookie year being out for the whole year with an injury. And of course, we have the emergence of Sam Darnold last year with the Vikings and what he did this year with the Seahawks, and it's another pressure added on McCarthy because of that. I'll put kind of pictures of thumbnails and stuff like that. I made a few videos up between Darnold and McCarthy. And that one I've talked about a few times about the whole scenario all of last year and stuff like that too, which, it was certainly a big topic of should the Vikings trade McCarthy and keep Sam Darnold. And I thought at the time, and I think it's tough to even gauge it, that who knew that Sam Darnold was going to help lead the Seahawks to a Super Bowl and win. But I thought it was crazy to say that after one great season, and it was great for Sam Darnold, but banking out one great season after a huge list prior to that, prior seasons of Darnold playing bad with the Jets and the Panthers, and to say, yes, we're going to move off a guy who we traded in the first round, 10th overall to be exact, to select. Now, of course, the GM is no longer there that selected him, but to trade up in the first round to get McCarthy and not even to see him play a regular season game, to just trade him because of Sam Darnold, I thought it was crazy. I didn't think that was going to happen. I had no issue with the Vikings bringing back Sam Darnold, but I thought at least if you want to say, if you want to put the franchise tag on him or sign him to a 1 year or 2 year deal at most, I had no issue with that. But I was kind of more, pushing for the franchise tag. If you want to just give him that and see what he does one more time, that's fine. But certainly I can't blame Sam Darnold for leaving. He wants a big time contract, long term security, and he has that in Seattle. And again, first year wins the Super Bowl with the Seahawks in Super Bowl 60, and now people are looking back at it and saying, yes, if you said that in the beginning, you were right. Now what happened now in this a few weeks ago in the Super Bowl validates what you were saying. But again, now it adds more pressure to McCarthy after an abysmal sophomore season. If we get to the stats here real quick, that's depth charts, my bad. We get the stats here real quick for McCarthy in 10 games. And on top of that, too, after missing a whole rookie season, missed 7 games, 7 more games in his sophomore year. He's only playing 10 games this season, having below 60% completion percentage, over 1,600 yards passing, 11 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 27 sacks. And you look at the stats here for everything all across the board for the offense was down. You go from Aaron Jones having over 1,100 yards rushing in 2024 to now 548. He did miss a few games this year. Jordan Mason, 758, 4 touchdowns. The receiving went down immensely, more so for Justin Jefferson, almost 500 yards less this season as opposed to the year prior. Jordan Addison, 6'10", 3 touchdowns this year. And they kind of give you, at least on screen to show you the difference. This is what it is. Sam Darnold, over 4,300 yards passing, 66% completion percentage, 35 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Like we talked about with Aaron Jones, over 1,100 yards rushing. Justin Jefferson, over 1,500 yards receiving, 10 touchdowns. Jordan Addison, 875, 9 touchdowns. So you see night and day of the offensive production for this team here. And obviously the record, where they have 14 wins this year, and this year falling short of that, missing the playoffs. And, again, in a season that was a lot of pressure on McCarthy, whether it's fair not to say or put it on there. Yes, people had high expectations for J.J. McCarthy and did not come through with that, whether it was just inconsistencies, injuries, bad play, however you want to phrase it as for McCarthy in the season. So I have no issue with the Vikings bringing in Kyler Murray. And there certainly is a risk with Kyler Murray as well. You look at, unfortunately, what we talked about through his whole entire career, his size at 5'10", injury prone, has missed games 3 of the last 4 seasons, even though he did play a full season in 2024, missed a good amount of games in 23 and missed 12 games this past season. Maturity issues has always been a question mark throughout his career there too. So there is certainly risk. There is some question marks with Kyler Murray, but I think for the value, of course, with him being on a minimum contract, I have no issue with him coming there. And if I'll try and find the tweet for Kyler Murray for destinations, I did put there. I did have the Minnesota Vikings on there because of uncertainty with J.J. McCarthy, and of course that's where he lands at this point here. So I have no issue with that. I like the signing. I like the move for the Vikings to bring Kyler Murray here, and to give my prediction, of course, early prediction of who's going to win. I do think Kyler Murray is going to win this job. I do. Even with all the question marks, I said Kyler Murray is still a quarterback with a lot of talent. He is, regardless of his size, the injury, the maturity issues, however you want to call that, the mentality, he still is a very talented quarterback. He is. And I'd like to see Kyler Murray in a situation where he's in a better organization, better head coach, better players around him. And you get that. You have, Justin Jefferson, no question, is that by far the best receiver he's had in offense. Even Jordan Addison you could put up there with over, dare I say, Marvin Harrison Jr. if we want to look at stats for what Harrison Jr. has done the last 2 seasons or the first 2 years of his career. The running game is good with Jordan Mason and Aaron Jones. I don't want to say it's phenomenal, but it certainly is a good backfield thus far as of right now, and we'll see. I do expect Aaron Jones to have a little bounce back season compared to 548 and 2 touchdowns. I do expect more from that, as well as just the defensively. You have Brian Flores. You have no question the head coach Kevin O'Connell, by far the best head coach he's had already without even stepping on the field for the Vikings. So it's a better situation all around for Kyler Murray. And that's why at this point you could say easily this is Kyler Murray's job to lose, because he already comes in. He's already better. I think we can all agree he's better than J.J. McCarthy. He just has to do his job, and he'll get the quarterback 1 spot for the 2026 season. No question about that. And that's where I kind of sit here. I wonder, is this the beginning, the end of J.J. McCarthy? Now, again, like I said in the beginning there, bringing in, from the Vikings perspective, you hope that you bring a veteran quarterback in here to push McCarthy and be better and much better in his 3rd year, and to build off of the few good things he did in the sophomore year and clean up some mistakes he did. I don't know if he's going to do that or not. I don't know. I've been on the record through like the draft process. I was never a big fan of J.J. McCarthy. I never understood how he just rose up people's draft boards from the national championship game to the draft. And of course, a big part is his head coach at the time at Michigan with Harbaugh raving about him. That was all it needed, was just hearing Harbaugh rave about the prospect in McCarthy. And he just rose from, to me, I looked at him as a late 1st round pick at best, to now being, like I said, a 10th overall pick in that year's draft. Certainly a lot of question marks with that. You can also question other quarterbacks that went high in that draft too, like Michael Penix as well. But certainly was surprised that he rose that quickly from, again, the championship game until the draft night, how it played out there. I was never a big fan of McCarthy. Never thought he was the driving force of that team. He was surrounded with a great roster, with a great defense, great running game, and I gotta give the guy credit. He made the plays when he had to. He did his job, of course. Still gotta give the guy credit for doing his job. But he was never the driving force. I never thought, wow, they won because of J.J. McCarthy. They won in big part because of that, because of him. When we look at the stats for the last few games that he played in his final season at Michigan, they weren't all that impressive. And again, I think it was a big driving force of the defense and the running game there, and it really showed, especially in the championship game, the running game aspect too. So again, if you want to say this, bias against him already, a person that doesn't like McCarthy, so there's a if you want to throw my opinion away for this one, but again, I'm already going into it before at this point here. Never a big fan of McCarthy. Not hating the guy, don't want to see him fail. But at this point, I'm not sure about McCarthy's future with Minnesota. I don't. I think this is going to be an easy job for Kyler Murray to win. I hope I'm wrong for his sake. I hope he does feel the pressure and he does elevate to a higher level than he's been thus far in the NFL, and he plays great his 3rd season, and we'll see how it plays out there. But Kyler Murray has also a lot to prove. He does. 1st overall pick, a lot of question marks with him. People think he's done. Some people think he's done, at least what I've seen on social media. They don't want to deal with him. They don't think he's a franchise quarterback. They don't want him as team. So there is certainly a lot of doubt with Kyler Murray at this point here for him, and he wants to shut up all the doubters. He wants to prove people wrong. So there is both these quarterbacks have a lot to lose in these situations. They have a lot to prove to people in different aspects of their game, or at this point in their careers here. So again, I think push comes to shove, Kyler Murray will win this one. He is certainly more athletic, more mobile than J.J. McCarthy. If you want to throw in the size, certainly McCarthy has an edge to that. But certainly, again, I think overall Kyler Murray is a much more talented player than McCarthy. He is. I don't think you can doubt that. And I just worry about McCarthy's future here, that was he set up to failure? Was it just bad luck? And going back to this, when he first got drafted in Minnesota with that season-ending injury his rookie year, then you had the emergence of Sam Darnold, which I said early on in the video, that added extra pressure because of what he did that season in 2024, and now seeing what he did with Seattle this past season, winning the Super Bowl. Now there's a lot of just unluck, bad situation, so forth. I don't think it's a bad organization. I think you just say it's just bad luck of how things played. And you always go back to the what if he didn't get hurt and he played his rookie season. Now, if that happened, we wouldn't have the story of Sam Darnold. The Seahawks probably wouldn't win the Super Bowl this past year, and there's a whole other chain of effects that would have happened there. So it's only a big what if McCarthy didn't get hurt his rookie season, of how things would have played out. Would he be a better quarterback at this point here? Would we even need this or would we even need to be at this point here, bringing a veteran quarterback to push McCarthy at this point if he played his rookie season? Who knows with this one, and who knows his sophomore year, of course. If this was his rookie season, I don't think anyone really bat an eye. Certainly, people would be disappointed in McCarthy, but if he just had this his actual rookie season was like this, and his sophomore year in 2025 was better, we probably won't be having this discussion. So I think it's unfortunate that there is bad luck. Injuries, unfortunately, did ruin a bit of McCarthy's career, but he still has the opportunity to win it back. He still has the opportunity to prove people wrong, to build off of it, and that maybe this is what is needed for him to be a better quarterback. But I think as of right now, of how I want to project things, I'm guessing very early on in this process. I look at this in 2026 for the season. Kyler Murray will have the starting quarterback job, and I think he will. The only time you will see McCarthy be on the field is the injury aspect with Kyler Murray. If he does get banged up, that's the only time you'll see McCarthy play in 2026. But besides that, in terms of just if you want to throw it away in terms of pure playing ability and who's the better quarterback, Kyler Murray will have the starting job and will be a quarterback for 2026. And if that does happen, you can certainly. Unfortunately, if you bought McCarthy jerseys already, you can sell them, get rid of them, burn them, however you want to do the process because McCarthy's not going to be there that much longer. So we'll see here. Again, I think it's a great storyline. I think it's probably one of the more underrated, not talked about as much storylines in the NFL here is the battle between McCarthy and Kyler Murray. I think there's a very exciting discussion, a topic to see how these two guys play out. Now, of course, we are still ways away from training camp, preseason, and so forth. But we'll see how it plays out here. We'll see what happens here. I'm a Kyler Murray fan a little bit, being an Oklahoma Sooner fan. Liked him at Oklahoma. Wishing the best for him, as well as J.J. McCarthy too. I don't want to see his career get ruined, even though I'm not a big fan of his. I don't want to see his career get ruined at this point here because of just that what if with that injury in his rookie season. I want him to bounce back and play well. So wishing both these guys the best, but this is certainly going to be a very interesting storyline to track and to follow as the offseason progresses, and again, especially when we get to training camp and the preseason.